Good morning, Reverend Robert Ugen Doshin Yamada here, and welcome to the Animal Liberation Temple, Dobutsukayoji, where we are at the service of the spiritual and physical liberation of our dear animal friends. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the land in which we gather is the ancestral and seized land of the Yokuts, Karkun, Confederate villages of the Lisha, Ohlone, Miwok, and Miwok-Ma people. We recognize them, the legacy of violence, settlement, and displacement of these people who suffered and survived. Good morning, Jackie. So good to see you tuning in live this morning. And good morning to April, who's actually here in the temple with us this morning. We'll get started with the updates. The weather has been overcast this morning, so as you could hear earlier, I had the generator running. I'll probably need to run it a little bit more. We've had to run the generator almost every day this week, which has been a cost in fuel, but we got to keep everything moving and going here. So that's what we're doing. Same kind of updates because of needing to just continue to pay off our truck and the need to finish the temple's roof. We're still trying to fundraise for that. So that kind of seems to be a constant update. One of the big things that happened this week was there was quite a large fire about a mile away from here. And that was yesterday? Saturday? Friday? Friday night into Saturday morning. The fire started pretty late at night. I think we found out about it about 10:30 at night. And we walked outside to see the whole sky was orange. And the fire looked to be pretty close. So we started the evacuation process. April and I started gathering all the animals, getting the dogs on leashes to be able to go, as well as getting all the animals into crates. And a lot of them actually packed and put into the trucks. And then we had some more volunteers coming who immediately reacted and were here within 20 minutes. We had two other trucks up here starting to load animals up. The fire was starting to be contained by the fire department, so it was kind of a waiting game. We kind of just waited for several hours. So I want to acknowledge my good friend Lewis and Joe, who were able to immediately get up here with two big trucks and start helping loading up some of the animals into those trucks. To prepare for an evacuation if needed. And then also I want to acknowledge that there was probably about a dozen other people ready to come up to the temple, although they blocked off all the roads so they couldn't actually make it all the way up here. But they were ready to, maybe if we had to just drive birds down to the waiting cars, that was going to be available. And just a really good turnout in the face of a possible emergency. It had taught us quite a few things that we need to prepare a little bit better. We need more carriers. We need a way to almost evacuate maybe on our own, which maybe means a proper trailer, more kennels, realizing that pigeons might be really hard to catch in the middle of the night. Headlamps would have been really helpful. Something that we didn't really account for. All the other fire dangers before were during the day, so it's something that we didn't think about needing much more light, some lanterns, headlamps. But overall, I think we would have gotten out of here on time and, before the fire got too close. So that was really good to know that we were prepared in that way, and that everybody would have been taken care of here. So that was the big kind of news here. Just this really scary fire about to happen. All the animals have been fed this morning, thanks to April helping out. And then I think Conrad came up this is coming up this morning to help do some cleaning and things like that. So that's really helpful. I'm so happy that we have volunteers that are able to come out and help out. So let's continue on with these updates. With that fire, having to get everybody into kennels, everybody was a little shaken up, especially when we were doing this at like 11 o'clock at night. People were not too happy to be woken up from their sleep and put into kennels and carried out to trucks, but everybody did pretty good, and are settling back in now. We have our duck friends, Breve, Greve, and Renee, all doing really well considering. Our dog friends, of course, there's Lucy, Bernard. That's Lucy who you hear barking, playing with Bernard and Victor right now. They're all doing really well. Victor continues to grow as a puppy, starting to learn some manners, but it will take a while. And of course, he's a puppy, so he loves to play, and is currently playing quite rough with Lucy. And Lucy's such a gentle soul that I'm not worried about Lucy hurting Victor, but Victor definitely loves to play rough. And then we have all of our goat friends down the hill, which are Rob, Matt, and Phil. We're all doing really well. And then our goats friends up here, Casper, also doing really well. And then we have our tortoise friend Miyachi. He's doing really well, getting really big when we had to pick him up to put him in one of the trucks. We put him into a plastic container to carry him out if needed, and he's big. We haven't had to lift Miyachi up in a while, and having to lift him up now, he's getting up there in size with all those big salads he eats every morning. Then we have our turkey friends, Priya and Harriet. Priya is suffering a little bit more from her bumblefoot. I think this week I'm going to try to get her an Epsom salt bath. There's not a lot we can do with bumblefoot short of like a major surgery, and given Priya's age, we really don't want to put her through that type of a surgery. So we're going to do our best to manage the pain and manage the condition. Some Epsom salt baths I think will help draw that out a little bit, and so we're going to try to do that this week. Harriet's doing really well. Before she was worried, we were worried about her appetite, but her appetite's back, and she's running around the yard and just having a good turkey time. And she's doing really well. Then we have all of our Cornish chickens. There's Okay, I don't know how long I've had audio out, but I think it's back now. I might have pushed the wrong button when I'm trying to operate. But thank you, Jackie, for letting me know. We should have audio back now, though. So now we'll get into the recitation of our prayers and sutras and the vows to our dear animal friends. These prayers are of great auspicious benefit to all that hear them. And so we ask that you have your companion animal friends or any wild animal friends who might be nearby in a place that they can hear them, and especially our dear insect friends. The dogs are having a good time this morning playing. We'll start with the recitation of the Great Heart of Wisdom Sutra, found on page 4 of the Animal Liberation Temple Prayer Book. Maka hanya haramita shingyo kanji zai bosatsu gyojin hanya haramita jiso kengo onkai kodo igai goyaku shari shishiki fuku shiki shiki zoku ze kuku zoku ze shiki ju sogyo shiki yaku bunyo ze shari shi ze shoho kuso fusho fumetsu fuku fujo fuzo fugin ze kokutsu mushiki muju sogyo shiki mugen ginai shi mui shiki kai mu mu myo yaku mu mu myo jin nai shi muro shi yaku muro shi jin muku shumetsu do muchi yaku mu tokoi musho tokko bodai sattai anya haramita koshin mukege komu hoku funri yusei tendo muso kugyo ne hansan de shobutsu e hanya haramita kotoku wa Nokutara sanyaku sanbodai kochi hanya haramita zedai shinshu zedai myoshu ze muto shuze muto doshu no jo isai kushin jitsu fu koko zetsu hanya haramita shuzoku zetsu shuwatsu gyate gyate hara gyate hara so gyate oji sawaka hanya shingyo Neguwaku wa kono kudoku o motte Amaneku issai ni oyoboshi warera toshija tomina tomono butsudo Animal Liberation no Jozen koto Jiho sanshi Foshi son bosa fo shi son bosa moko sa moko hoja horo mi. Good morning, Neil and Susan and Martin. Just want to make sure I acknowledge everybody who messages on Good Morning Tani, who messages on Facebook, as I don't always see it all. But we'll continue with the prayers on page 8, the recitation of the refuge prayer in Tibetan and English. Sangye chodan tsuki chonam la janju partuk tekni gyapsu chi daki jinso gyepe sonam ki drola penjer sangye ju parsho. The Buddha, Dharma, and excellent assembly of the Sangha. Until I attain enlightenment, in these I take refuge. By my practice of the 6 perfections, may all sentient beings attain a state of Buddhahood. We now recite the 4 great Bodhisattva vows, Shigi Seigan, page 9. Shujo Muhen Seigando Bono Mujin Seigandan Homon Muryo Seiganga Botado Mujo Seiganjo. However numerous sentient beings, I vow to enlighten them all. However inexhaustible my delusions, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the dharmas, I vow to master them all. However endlessly enlightened way, I vow to follow it fully. We now recite the 6 vows to our dear animal friends, page 10. However numerous my dear animal friends, I vow to liberate them all. However diverse the methods of animal liberation, I vow to support them all. However unheard their voices, I vow to speak out for them all. However painful and inexhaustible the methods of suffering, I vow to bear witness to them all. However infinite the cages and tanks, I vow to empty them all. However difficult animal liberation, I vow to achieve it completely. And we now recite the 100-syllable Vajrasattva purification mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Nupalaya Vajrasattva Te Nopachista Chito Me Bhava Sito Sho Me Bhava Sipo Sho Me Bhava Anorato Me Bhava Sava Sita Me Prayacha Sava Karma Sita Me Tichum Shri Yam Kuru Hom Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sava Tata Gata Vajra Mame Mucha Vajri Bhava Mahasabmamya Safaha. So this morning and this week, I've been thinking about a topic that someone had brought to my attention, and I think this is a large topic that I may not be like qualified to speak on too much, and I think when the specifics I'm not qualified to speak on, and that has to do largely with situations in Canada and issues of free speech and issues of political affiliations and religion and even religious affiliations. And that's not to say that I don't have very passionate political views as well as very passionate religious views. But as a Buddhist and trying to give a Buddhist message that is centered around our non-human animal friends, I do think I have some things to say about religion and politics in general. So I'll begin with politics. Although I have very opinionated beliefs on politics, I think that as the Animal Liberation Temple stands, when we think about politics and we try to decide, where we might land on particular politics, I think that what we should do as the Animal Liberation Temple is look at how any particular political view affects our non-human animal friends. And I think that when we explore that idea, no matter what area of the country you come from or what place in the world that you come from, all these different places have different politics, and all of these politics affect our dear animal friends in different ways. And for the most part, it affects them poorly, right? To be honest, like most political structures that are in power currently do not have adequate protection for our dear animal friends. And so I find it difficult sometimes to fully side with one political view over the other, given that those political views often are not thinking of our dear animal friends. And I think that we as animal, lovers, and us that believe that our non-human animal friends are inseparable from us, that there is no distinction between humans and non-human animals, that we are in fact all animals, that I think recognizing that non-human animals might be some of the most oppressed on this planet, and are the most ignored by all of our political systems and organizations out there. So I think that when we hold strong to a political view, I think we should keep in mind that whatever that political view is probably not doing the best for our non-human animal friends. And so what I want people to take away from that idea is that maybe we should be cautious of how strong we hold on to our political views, and recognize simply that they might not be doing the best that they can be doing for our non-human animal friends, and that we should keep that in mind and try to maybe be a little softer when it comes to our political views, that they often are ignoring some of the most important people on our planet. Which, leads me to the idea of religion, and that often religion falls into that same path, often ignoring the sentience of non-human animals, often continuing to be a part of that cycle of violence towards our non-human animal friends. Um, the world religions often ignore non-human animal friends. Even Buddhists they ignore them, and I would even go as far as to say even the Jains who are a vegan, nonviolent group maybe aren't advocating as much as they should be and could be for our non-human animal friends, and I hold the same criticism for Buddhists. And so when we look at all the other world religions, I think we can probably find some commonality there in that they don't speak up and hold our non-human animal friends in the in the importance as they should, as being fully sentient, as being fully endowed with a spiritual being. Depending on your particular religious belief, either fully created by God or being fully conscious, or being or simply without a doubt being able to experience suffering, and so therefore shouldn't be subjected to that suffering. Which brings me to this idea that we should be critical of our political views, and we should be critical of our religious beliefs, even our own and even others. And to what point, right? And to what level should we continue to be critical? And I want to acknowledge that there's people out there who are protesting this and protesting that, and are holding signs and blocking freeways, and there are folks out there who are trying to make their political view known, make their spiritual belief known, and they are sometimes being loud or obnoxious, or sometimes they're getting in the way, or sometimes they're, what we would call disturbing the peace, right? And I want to acknowledge that the alternative and what is actually going on in our world right now is like animals are dying en masse. We have horrible wars across the world. And that is the alternative to protesting. That is the alternative to holding a sign. That is the alternative to being loud and obnoxious is dropping bombs and shooting guns. So I want to acknowledge that even the protests that are loud and obnoxious, even the even the religious and spiritual beliefs that we might find harmful, if it's not to the level of war, if it's not to the level of dropping bombs and shooting each other, that this is actually the world we would much rather live in. We'd much rather have a disagreement with our words. We'd much rather have a disagreement with our how loud we are being. I'd much rather see protesters blocking a freeway than I would like to see another bomb dropped, or another military force being marched into an area. I'd rather see citizens and passionate, unarmed activists blocking a freeway than I would like to see the military shutting down a city. So I think that it's important that we look at perspective in this way when we think about politics, when we think about religion, when we think about folks who might be invading our peace or disrupting daily life. That in many places now, disruption is a bomb, and disruption is a military force occupying your own city. That the disruptive nature of activists, the disruptive nature of even even the disruptive nature of how other religions are practicing their beliefs is is something I think that we should be a little bit softer about. So, in conclusion to that rambling, I want to wrap that up by saying many political and religious views already don't recognize our non-human animal friends. And so siding with one or the other might be in folly, that it doesn't recognize our non-human animal friends, and so therefore really holding a strong belief to one religious view, to one political view, might be falling short of what our non-human animal friends need. And when we do witness folks who have very strong political views, one way or the other, one very strong religious views, one way or the other, to remind ourselves that behind each one of these big institutions, these big organizations, these big governments are human beings, and fallible human beings, and human animals who also don't want to suffer, who also want to be happy, and even if they're reaching that happiness in a folly way, or in a way that may even increase their suffering, that ultimately what they really want is to end their own suffering, even if they're doing it the wrong way, and to recognize that all these different political views, religious views, all these institutions are made up of actual, living, breathing human animals, and to keep that in your mind as as folks who tune in every week to the Animal Liberation Temple, and looking for a more compassionate way of viewing the world. I ask folks to keep that in mind when confronted with different political and religious views. Is that we're all animals, and we're all deserving of care and compassion, and most importantly, remember that all of these political and religious views are almost always falling short of our non-human animal friends' needs. Just going to catch up on our comments. Oh, good morning, Pastor Rob. So happy to see you. Yeah, I love Neil Carmen's comment here. Even people who seem to be full of hate still have Buddha nature. That's absolutely true, and I think that's like a foundation of Buddhism, and at least a foundation of this particular temple is all beings have Buddha nature, right? Even the angry ones, even the hateful ones, have Buddha nature. Have the desire to be free of suffering, and the want to be happy. I think all beings without exception want that. I also enjoy Neil Carmen's comment here about the Animal Justice Party in Australia and the different green parties that tend to be more animal friendly. And I would even say that the Animal Justice Party in Australia, I know a little bit about them, and they are, definitely working for the benefit of our non-human animal friends, and that even that sometimes falls short because of the larger political parties out there that kind of like overshadow these other parties. And at the end of the day, we're all animals, and we all want to do better for each other. So I hope these things continue. And the discourse continues, right? I think that's my other point, is that we continue to talk, we continue to protest rather than harm and hurt each other. I think I caught up on all of those comments. Doing good here. But I'm open to hearing other people's views. This is always a safe place to share with me your own political views, your own religious views. I want to learn more about them. I want to hear about them. I always think that conversation is better than harm. That we can always dialogue, and I think that's so much better than causing each other harm. So let's dialogue. If folks have differing opinions, I want to hear them, and I want to come to a place where we can all have a better understanding of each other. We'll conclude with the recitation of the Animal Liberation Prayer, the dedication of merit. We'll read off our credits, and then we'll see if I can get my phone to do a quick tour. We'll start with the Animal Liberation Prayer on page 12, 13, and 14. May all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends who are subject to unbearable pain and lives throughout the world, be free of all suffering. May alternatives to animal experimentation, vivisection, and dissection be implemented immediately. May bodhicitta, the quality of compassion that leads to enlightenment, fill the hearts of those who imprison them. May all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends who suffer endless days, months, and years, locked in tiny cages unable to move, be filled with peace and calm. May all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends who are forcibly taken from their families, be reunited, and may all families be able to stay together. May the hearts of those who work in slaughterhouses, factory farms, and all industries that exploit our dear animal friends be filled with bodhicitta, so the very thought of harm is purified. May they never kill again, and may the slaughterhouse lines, factory farms, and all industries that exploit our dear animal friends become immediately empty. May no animal be afraid or depressed. May their bodies be free of injuries, disease, and illness. May the mutilation of their bodies be forever ceased. May those who need homes or have been driven from them find shelter, plentiful food, and water. May there be liberation for those tortured for fur, entertainment, or who are hunted. May those who believe that they are superior to our brother and sister animals develop perfect equanimity, and may they realize in their hearts that all sentient beings possess Buddha nature, the potential to be completely free of suffering, and that they are not ours to kill or exploit. May the billions of land and sea-dwelling sentient beings who are abused, exploited, and killed due to greed, hatred, and ignorance be free of suffering. May all the nets, hooks, blades, projectiles, traps, snares, cages, pens, tanks, lethal restraints, saddles, reins, prods, bait, poison, and all instruments used to harm, exploit, and dominate our animal friends be forever abolished. May all human and non-human sentient beings live together in harmony, peace, equanimity, and achieve perfect enlightenment quickly. May we all experience happiness, safety, freedom, and animal liberation in this very lifetime. We now recite the dedication of merit to our dear animal friends, page 16 and 17. Throughout our many lives and until this moment, whatever virtue we have accomplished, including this aspiration for peace, and all that we will ever attain, this we offer for the benefit of all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends. May suffering, exploitation, and unnecessary death be appeased for every being, while wisdom, bliss, and compassion increase in this and every future life. May we clearly and instantly perceive the plight of our dear animal friends with the urgency and seriousness they deserve, and our every action leads them to complete liberation. May we quickly attain enlightenment and work ceaselessly for liberation of all sentient beings. Thank you all for joining us here at the Animal Liberation Temple. I'm going to run the credits now just so I can acknowledge the folks who have contributed to our temple. Thank you to all the wonderful folks who have contributed to our dear animal residents of the Animal Liberation Temple from the 20th of June to the 4th of July. Thank you to everyone who is liking, sharing, and commenting and subscribing to our social media. Thank you to our Venmo donors, Tani Salazar and Remy Marine X. And our PayPal donors this week, Ryan Pickett, Conrad De Jesus, and Lama Tashinyama. Thank you folks so much. And then of course our Patreon supporters who support us every month, Susan Fryman, Neil Carmen, Paulina Bradford, Paula Partenheimer, Shannon Hunter, and MV. Thank you folks so much. And if you'd like to donate, you can do so through this link here at Linktree Animal Liberation Temple. Appreciate you folks all so much. And let us, oh, what did I do? I just muted that. Okay, there we go. And I will try to see. There we go. Our other camera. And audio should be correct. Well, we hear the dogs barking. Well, let's see Hasu, because he's out right now. He's gonna run back in his house. Hi, Hasu. Little quick rinse of Hasu and Sequoia. What is going on? Victor? Yeah. I'm seeing Bernard. Yeah. Looks like we're trying to wrangle the goats here. Not an easy thing to do. Goat friends. Bernard? Bernard? And our Cornish friends? Enjoying the sun. That was a quick tour, as our camera doesn't go as far. There we go. Mute that and mute that. All right, thank you folks so much for joining us live, and thank you to everyone who joins throughout the week and kind of checks in with us. I really appreciate that. And yeah, Susan Craig just posted about her World Peace Diet book study group. If folks like to join that, you could probably reach out to Susan Craig, or she posted the link here for that Zoom meeting. That could be really beneficial and another way for folks to connect. I really support the idea of other folks connecting in different ways. I think that's really wonderful. Yeah, a little rat friend went back into his house. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Everybody have a wonderful week, and please reach out if you have any questions or comments or concerns about the Animal Liberation Temple and how we can be a better service to you and to most importantly to our non-human animal friends. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful week.